Camping in the Mountains by Margaret Dorst. Camping in the mountains makes your senses come alive. The squawking of the blue jays signals daybreak has arrived. In the early morning hours, outdoors is where you want to dine, where the aroma of sizzling bacon mingles with the scent of stately pines. Gaze upwards toward God's heaven as far as the eye can see. Watch the squirrels scampering from limb to limb, and the sun peeking through the trees. There are so many ways to spend the day. Challenge yourself to a strenuous hike. Go bird watching, grab a fishing pole, or take a ride on your mountain bike. Sitting before a crackling campfire while darkness wraps us in its arms. With thousands of twinkling stars above, Mother Nature enchants us with her charms. This is your chance to get away from it all, to let your mind and soul be free, before you again face the everyday chaos that sadly has become our reality. And with that being read, welcome back to the 127 Fit podcast. Today I'm hanging out in Denver, Colorado with a very special guest. We've been in communication for several months, and we finally were able to sit down and make this podcast interview happen. Today's guest is a professional dirtbag, minimalist, husband, TRX and kettlebell trainer, split boarder, lover of all things outside, author and owner of Colorado Personal Fitness, Mountain Fitness School, and finally, Engearment. Today's guest is Sewell. Sean, welcome to the 127 Fit podcast.
Quentin, thank you so much for this welcome. I loved every word of that poem. That resonated deeply with me.
Awesome.
Grateful to be here, and thank you for the audience and listeners as well. Hopefully this is fun, entertaining, and helpful for them as well.
Cool. Very cool, Sean. So today, Sean, we're just going to kind of start off with talking about your morning routine. You are a big fitness guru, huge into the fitness industry and things of that nature. And I know that the morning routine for a lot of not only fitness people, but just successful people in general, the morning routine is very, very important. So how do you start your morning, and do you have a specific morning routine that you kind of like to stick to?
That's a great question, and I agree with you very much. My routine is very, very static. If I deviate from it, like I did today, I slept in, I feel out of it. So I wake up pretty much shot out of a cannon, it feels like. I'm so excited to be awake and go tackle my projects. So I'll have my notes ready for my projects the night before. So usually I get up around 4:30. Most of the time I wake up before my alarm even goes off, which is kind of crazy. Wake up, think about the day, get some goosebumps, give my wife and dog a kiss in bed. Downstairs, make some coffee, go over my notes. Okay, we got 3, 4, 5 sessions in a row. After that, I'm going to work with Patagonia or Arc'teryx on a project, and then afternoon projects of more training. I get excited about that. I get excited about the people I get to see and work with. Go walk the dogs, see the stars because it's usually dark out.
Right.
Maybe even the moon, and then go to work. Usually, first training session is around 5 to 5:30, and it's a great morning. I don't like changing it. If it's not in the morning training, it is in the morning in the mountains, which your poem earlier really resonates with me because I'd say 2 nights a week I get to the mountains to year-round too. Like I'll be up there this week camping probably Friday night with my dogs, just hanging out in the snow. So wake up, hear the birds if they're around, listen to the snow coming down. If I have my split board with me, I'll split board up to the top of a mountain, get back down. Sun comes up, go to work. Start my day that way. So it's a good morning. Wouldn't change it.
Now, in regards to your morning routine, Sean, is there do you do like a intermittent fasting? Do you usually try to get something into your body right away? What does that kind of look like?
That's a good question. It varies. So most mornings, if I'm not going to be physical, I will intermittent fast. So I drink coffee. I like coffee. I drink coffee with some MCT oil in it and collagen. So I'll drink that, and that's 4 a.m. That gets me going until at least 10 or noon or 2 or 4. It depends on the day. I think I'm more cognitively beneficial when I'm fasted. For physical work, though, if I'm going to climb a mountain, I definitely want some food in my stomach.
Right.
So it depends on the goals, but most of the time, it is fasted.
Okay. And then, so if you are doing the intermittent fasting, what time, or if you're having some sort of fast in the morning or observing a fast, what time then is it? Is it mid-morning? Is it not till later in the afternoon that you will actually have your first meal or something? What does that kind of look like, time frame and time-wise?
Good question. So probably midday or early afternoon. And I kind of have to force myself to eat because I'm not very hungry. I mean, some people might think they can't go without breakfast, and I was definitely one of those people when I was into that whole routine of stuff. And then I went without breakfast, and my head was more clear. I could do more. I could think more. I could create more. I love creating, so it's very important to me. So now I realize I need to consume a lot of calories because I'm very active. So I have to try and force feed myself that lunch or early dinner, and I try and I don't say carb load, but I try and get my carbs at night to kind of get me slow and tired to go to bed. So my wife will joke about this, but I usually will have a third dinner at 8. She's like, don't eat so late. I'm like, I need to eat more food. Trust me, I need the calories.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's something I know. Last week's guest, we talked about just the importance of each person has to really kind of figure out for their activity level, their body type, their genetics, what foods, what types of foods are going to work best for them. Is that something that you adhere to as
completely
well?
Agree, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have a background in nutrition as well, but I table that because, no pun intended with the table, but everybody's different. And they change, they evolve. Things that worked for me 2 years ago don't work anymore.
Exactly.
So if you don't keep up on it, and if it works, if you ate a food, you don't feel good afterwards, don't eat that food again. Exactly. It seems simple to me, but some people need a professional to tell them that.
Right.
So I can be that professional, but it's everybody's unique in their nutrition, and what works for me probably won't work for somebody else.
Right.
So very personalized.
And then also, since both of us live out here in Colorado, and you spend a lot of time in higher elevation because you do spend a lot of time in the mountains.
Yeah.
How because I hear certain things, but I'm by no means an expert with the nutrition and the elevation. Also, so would you discuss maybe for the listener how elevation affects our bodies in regards to nutrition, and then also maybe touch on the importance of staying hydrated?
Yes.
The climbing in the mountains, split boarding, all of that type of physical activity, even just living in elevation and say lifting weights and things like that. How does that elevation affect our bodies, our nutrition, and our need to really stay hydrated? Can you touch on that, please, Sean?
Those are good questions, and yes, I can drill down deeply on those. I actually wrote a paper with Eric Frohart and Pavel about training at elevation for elevation.
Cool.
For Strong First about a year and a half ago. And since then, created the Mountain Fitness School that really dives deep into that because I spend a lot of time at elevation, whether it's recreationally camping or swinging a kettlebell at 13,000 feet, or, well, that's exaggeration, 12,000 feet, or splitboarding to 13,000 feet. The dehydration part. If you think you're dehydrated, you're probably dehydrated. Your lips are chapped. If your pee is dark in color, you are dehydrated. So drink water. Drink lots of water. One of the little hacks, I don't know if you want to call it a hack, but one of my health things I do is I put a little bit of pink Himalayan salt in my water in the morning to try and get that in there. And some people are probably going to squawk at that, adding salt to something because hypertension and stuff. But if you're an athlete or active, you're going to sweat out a lot of stuff. So I also take magnesium at night and potassium and all the salts, minerals. Those are all really important stuff. And if I don't get it from food, I take it from a supplement.
Right.
So hydration for sure, salts, all the salts, not sugar. I don't do well with sugar. I know right away if I drink some Gatorade or orange juice, I get phlegmy. I get vascular for about half an hour, then I get tired.
Right.
So it's not a good tool for my training.
Correct.
I do really good with fats and grains and protein. So my favorites are like smoked salmon or oysters or recently Patagonia Provisions sent me a box of goodies, and it was an abundance of awesome food. So I was eating clams and smoked salmon and seeds and lentils and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, real food that has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
It's helped humans evolve. It still works. It works for me. So there's no diets in the backcountry. That is not something you should be doing, because if you bonk and you're X miles away from civilization or safety, you don't want to bonk. Right. So you're putting a burden on yourself or other people. So I always carry food in my backpack, extra food for myself and other people. And elevation is a wonderful thing. I spend as much time as possible at elevation to train my body to be better at elevation.
Right.
Probably kind of like in the springs while they have people down there training for Olympics. It does work. For a while there, this is really nerdy, but I would take a pulsometer with me and track my pulse and track my oxygen saturation. Right. And that's also in that paper on Strong First.
Okay.
And I got a lot of questions about that. So I was able to get my heart rate normal, like 60s or so, and then oxygen saturation in the high 90s, which is pretty crazy, just by spending time up there and exercising in certain ways. And so I felt like that helped me be more resilient in the mountains and spend more time in the mountains and be able to do an extra lap, an extra tour is what we would call it, and just function highly. And then come back down to Denver and train people without ill effect. They don't know that I went up to mountains for 3 or 4 hours. I just cleared my head, spent time in the mountains, and got my spiritual, whatever I'm looking for up there, satisfied, come back as a better human to serve my people I care about.
Cool.
So I love elevation. Drink water, put salt in your water, cover the bases.
Very cool. Now, you mentioned the word bonk as you were just kind of talking about elevation and nutrition. I've heard that term. I kind of understand on my end what it means. I know I've heard that term thrown around a lot with maybe marathon runners, distance runners. For the listener out there that might not know what the word bonk means, it's kind of a funny term if you hear it and you really don't know the context and things. What is from your expertise? What does bonking mean?
You nail it on the head. A lot of endurance athletes will experience bonking several times probably, and they don't want to do that. So that's why they would carry the sugar substitutes or whatever works for them. So in that case, if a person were to bonk, I would bust out some simple sugar, whatever it is.
Okay.
Snickers or fructose.
And
whatever.
so, like, is bonking like? Do they hit some sort of like wall or something?
Yeah, that's
as
a
an
good
athlete, or
that's a good way of putting it. That's a good analogy.
They lose energy or something, or
I think. Plainly, I think they're out of resources.
Okay.
And they just, like you said, hit a wall. They're out of resources. They are demoralized mentally, and it's not a place to be.
Okay.
And I think we all experience it at some point. You don't want to go back to that place.
Exactly. And that's something that I know with the nutrition aspect you were talking about, when you're in the backcountry, when you're up in the mountains, at all costs you want to avoid bonking because, I mean, it could, literally be life or death if you're miles and miles away from some sort of first aid or hospital or something like that when you're in the backcountry. So that's why it's important to have that nutrition and avoid it, again, all costs bonking when you're up at elevation in the mountains, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, cool. Very cool. So, all right, that's a great start here, Sean, just kind of with your morning routine and touching on some of that nutrition, intermittent fasting, things like that. Something else that I know the listeners enjoy and can gain some value from my guests is just in regards to books. I know a lot of people are starting to get into audio books, which I've also delved into that scene a little bit. You can kill two birds with one stone. If you're driving, you can also listen to a book. I also just like the good old book in my hands and love reading. But beyond that, just the importance of reading, again, it kind of goes back to successful people, not only in the health and fitness industry, but as I listen to more podcasts and continue to learn in my life in regards to success and things of that nature, it seems like successful people not only have their mornings dialed in, but they also are avid readers and avid learners. Is there a book, kind of like one book or a couple books that are your favorite that you would maybe gift to somebody? And then also, is there a current book that you are reading that you would like to share with the listener?
Oh my goodness, you nailed it on the head again. This is awesome. I'm going through my list right now. Yeah, I gift out books pretty often. I go through probably a book a week. I drive a lot. I spend a lot of time in the truck. I'm not going to waste that time just listening to pop music.
Exactly.
So, so I want to learn. That's a great place to learn. So, the Tao Te Ching, I love that book. The version I have is Stephen Mitchell reads it. It's really easy listen. It's just what you need when you get it. It's perfect. Tao Seneca is great. Let's see. As a Man Thinketh. That one's profound. Own the Day. Found that was pretty helpful.
Okay.
Of course, Kettlebell Simple and Sinister from Pavel. Let's see. The Dichotomy of Leadership.
Jocko.
Yeah, it's Jocko. I mean,
Yep,
he's the best.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I mean, his book, Extreme Ownership, I really embraced that one. That was
Cool.
very good stuff. Those are some of my top ones to give.
Okay, sweet.
Amy Cootie's Presence is good too.
Now, are you? I actually saw, because I'm sitting here in your apartment on your bookshelf, a Tim Ferriss book. Is that some of his books and then his podcast? Are those two resources that you personally enjoy?
Absolutely, yeah. When I'm not doing an audiobook, if I've hit a point, we all know when we hit a point of not absorbing material, I'll turn to the podcast, and he's usually the first one I turn to is a Tim Ferriss. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I find his interview style is pretty good. He has great guests, asks good questions, and I always find something to take away to benefit.
Okay, cool. So the Tim Ferriss podcast, is there another podcast or a couple other podcasts that you might want to share with the listener that you really find a lot of value in?
Well, actually yours, not to like...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed researching your podcast, so 127 Fit. Pat Flynn. I'm meeting with Pat Flynn next month, actually. So he's got a good take on things. I like his Pennsylvania stuff. And who else? Ask Gary V. Gary, don't always agree with everything everybody says on any front, but I learn a lot from him for sure.
Awesome, very cool. Thank you for sharing that, Sean. That's a good list of books, and the podcast world is definitely a growing world. And
it is. There's lots to take in.
If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you are probably understanding the importance and the value in podcasts, but the podcast world is only going to continue to grow. And I know for myself, just with that continued education, I mean, we literally can listen to any expert in any field from around the world. At any time we want, whether it's meal prep, whether it's doing cardio, whether we're in the backcountry, whether we're driving. I mean, it's the podcast platforms, the podcast world is where it's at, and I absolutely love it. Obviously, with having my own, and then I consider myself a podcast junkie. It's good stuff. So thank you for sharing that stuff.
Of course, there's one important one I think that would really help both of us. Strong First recently started doing one, and Dr. Craig Marker, who's a fantastic guy, really smart person. I've met him several times, and I cite his work in my stuff. He hosts, and they'll have like Stu McGill, like the back guru. You'll have all these people. You're drinking from a fire hose of knowledge, right? You gotta listen to it 2 or 3 times. Take some notes. So that's a good one too.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that, Sean. So let's transition then into kind of your story. I know, because we had some communication back and forth over the last couple of months, that you were born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska, which is only 2 hours from my hometown in northwest Iowa. So you kind of have that Midwest background. So let's kind of start diving into kind of your upbringing, kind of your genesis, your life story. Kind of just talk about your mom, your dad, if you had some siblings, and just kind of what your family has meant to who you were, some of the things that you've gone through in your life, and then what your family has meant to who you've become today as a man and a fitness professional. So however you want to take that, let's just talk about, and if you don't mind sharing about your family and just the value of your family, your upbringing, and how that's kind of really impacted some of your passions and the fire that burns within your soul and your heart to this day, if you don't mind, Sean.
Oh, I'd be honored to. Yeah, that's a good question. Grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. I had a mother, father, brother, sister. Brother and sister both younger. My younger brother was mentally disabled, and so I was kind of like his hero protector. My sister and him bonded like 2 peas in a pod. Very loving family, the kindest people you ever meet. Overweight, morbidly overweight actually. Everybody was 300 pounds or so. We were poor. We had the power turned off all the time. So I got a job at 11 years old, paper out, try and help out and pay bills and stuff. And also, maybe as in junior high, I befriended a person who at the time I believe had the track record for the fastest mile. And he came from a very abusive family. And him and I were, angry teenagers, and we had long hair and play guitar and, listen to heavy metal. And we had a lot of anger, and we got into weights. And I wanted to try and catch him on the mile. And I never caught him on the mile, but I did pretty good. But we got into weights, and through lifting weights, I saw my body changing in a good way. And I was trying to be a leader in my family to say, we don't have to eat Danishes and drink Cokes. We can cook up some rice and potatoes and have some chicken and beef and stuff. We're in Nebraska. We got a plethora of delicious food literally in our backyard. We had a garden. Let's eat the corn and the tomatoes out of the garden.
Right.
So I was trying to lead by example, and I failed them in that respect. So that was kind of my passion, my pain passion of to get into fitness, was to inspire my family to take their health a little more seriously. Later on, my dad developed diabetes, blood clots, my sister blood clots and brain cancer, my dad pancreatic cancer, my brother had a heart attack. Like a lot of heart, mental, and physical ailments stemming from inactivity and dietary choices. So to get into fitness for me was never about sports or teams or competition. It was about helping people who want to change their quality of life, who don't know how to. A lot of people, like I do some volunteer work at the Rose Hospital Bariatric Program. The bariatric program is people who, it's like a last stop. It's like they've tried diets, they tried whatever. They're gonna go in and they're gonna change their ghrelin and leptin, and they're gonna take out some stuff or tie some stuff up. It's got a big lifestyle change. So they're a lot of them are afraid of their own steps or being in public. So those are people I seek out because I've lived in the family who has been part of that. So I want to help those people get over their fears. Like one person, I've had 8 so far, lose over 100 pounds, but one of them lost the weight and lived in Green Mountain and always wanted to hike Green Mountain. Her whole life lived there. So after some training, got her to do it, went up there, and she could see this beautiful view. She could see her house from there.
Right.
It was amazing. I have new people who have done that program who have lost enough weight to go walk around Sloan's Lake with their wife now. Like quality of life. That's what I train for. It's never about measurements and scales. It's about, do your pants fit? Do you feel good? Can you get out of bed without too much pain? And what do you want to do today? You want to go on that hike? Do you want to ski? Play with your grandkids? Take your wife out on a split board tour? Whatever that is. That's what excites me about fitness. And so I get offers to train people for aesthetics pretty often, and that's not my goal. My goal is just help people our age and older get the most out of life. Move well, move often, and enjoy life.
Okay. Now, with coming from and these are your own words, a morbidly obese family.
Mm-hmm.
How as a young boy, because I know I grew up as a jock. I was always very active playing sports. I know how, especially as you get older into junior high school, the lines of different cliques get very, very clear and very firm. I know how I treated certain kids when I was younger because of the way they looked and different things like that. Did you experience, first of all, were you yourself as a young kid, as a young boy, pretty overweight? And then if so, how did that struggle affect you in school? Did you get made fun of? Were you bullied? Can you kind of just share with the listener a little bit about that experience as a young boy?
Well, fortunately, I never was overweight. I mean, I was in the family. The food was there, but from 11 years old on, I bought my own food and prepared my own food.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I saw really quickly watching TV and drinking pop and eating Danishes was not a good dinner.
Right.
So, and if I wanted to go run with my friend Matt, I needed to, have some steak and potatoes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I did have bullying though, because my brother was special needs, and my sister and him were both overweight. So I stepped into kind of a hero role, right? So I put on some muscle. I put on muscle very easily, which is, I guess, fortunate, and also for endurance, not fortunate. But I put on muscle easily. So as I'm doing my paper out, I took on 3 paper outs to try and raise more money. And actually, the very first thing I bought in my paper out was a Swiss Army knife, and I still have that.
Cool.
And then a guitar to make some music. Yeah.
Sweet.
And then So I would get jumped. The older kids would pick on me because I had long hair, and they thought I was like a badass. And I bought a motorcycle when I'm 14, and I'm driving around illegally. And I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. I was just trying to enjoy life and write some metal music and put some food on the table. But I would get jumped, and so the more I got into fitness, I would be around, I don't say the jocks, and I'm not trying to call you a jock, but around the jocks who were making fun of me. Yeah. So every activity that they would get for like pull-ups or sit-ups or push-ups, I would beat them in. And then the coach was like, join the team. I'm like, I'm not joining your team. I am not. I will join a team of other people, but not these people. So, very much a lot of angst, anger, and fitness put together. A lot of metal. And so I continued to do that path for a long time. And I never considered doing fitness professionally. My dog Chloe's got a kneecap in her mouth, and she wants attention.
She's loving them.
She does love you. That's good. Yeah, these are good dogs. So I got a job. I was a DJ. You can probably see the equipment right there. Put food on the table doing that 5 nights a week. I got out of that scene to get into, I guess, more of a corporate world, more structured. Okay. Did the corporate world in a law firm, and always did the fitness for fun. I would train my friends and people who wanted to hang out and train. And so I was always fit and active. But would be 12 years ago now, my brother went in for a surgery, and then he, a day or two later, died of a heart attack at age 21, and he was 380 pounds. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to save any lives working behind a computer. I need to go into fitness. So that next week, I enrolled at National Personal Training Institute, where my friend Phil runs over there, a great guy, and got educated. You know, I did the 6 or 9 month program every night. So I worked my day job, went there, got certified. It'll be 10 years as a certified trainer next week, actually.
Sweet. Awesome.
Well, thank you.
So now with your, from let's say 11 years old, and just kind of that start with lifting weights, and your friend that was running the mile, and you kind of just joined him, and just kind of that genesis of fitness in your life, and then it sounds like to me, fitness from the time you were 11 years old or around that age has been a part of your life. Is that correct?
Yeah, fitness and being outside.
Cool.
Yeah, every weekend I would volunteer with a teen naturalist group. We would like watch sand crane migrations. We would tag voles. We would study animals and spend every weekend outside. So
awesome.
From a young age, I was immersed in my 2 favorite things: fitness and being outside.
And so, Sean, would you do you consider then fitness and being outdoors as a type of escape for you? Is that like your happy place, and where you are just able to kind of just be that free spirit and just kind of cut loose and enjoy life? I mean, is that what you would kind of consider the outdoors, fitness, combining those two? Like, if there's one place that Sean could be, it would be outdoors doing some sort of movement. Is it like that escape, that happy place, that place where it's like, hey, if I could be anywhere in the world doing anything 24/7, 365, it's outdoors, it's some sort of fitness, it's some sort of movement. Am I hitting the nail on the head there for you personally?
Yeah, you just created the nail. That was accurate.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think outside for me is my church, it's my medicine, my happy place. Whether it's by myself, with my dogs, with you, with clients, with students, with friends, being outside. It can be the front yard looking at a tree and watching a bird. I'm happy.
Right.
You throw in some movement, oh my gosh. So movement in the top of a mountain with another friend, that's just the best.
Right. Now when you, did you go to any type of formal college or anything after high school? Because you talked about being in a corporate setting, correct? For several years. So can you just kind of share maybe some of that further education after high school with the listener? And then while you were doing the corporate thing, you still had that fire and that passion, that love in your heart for the outdoors and the fitness. So kind of when you were in that corporate setting, and maybe it wasn't exactly what you want to do, but obviously we all have to pay the bills and stuff, then I could really see where that outdoors and that fitness would go to the next level of being some sort of escape. Is that kind of how that works? So let's talk about the education, and then just how that fitness passion, the love of the outdoors and movement went to another level once you kind of got into that corporate setting and you were kind of maybe boxed in and weren't able to do what you wanted to do, whatever was burning in your heart as much. So do you want to just maybe touch on the education and then
sure.
kind of the corporate setting and how you held on to the fitness and that passion, that fire during that season of your life?
Yeah, those are good questions. As far as formal education, I did very well in school in Omaha. And at 15 years old, moved over here. We were taking advanced courses, my friends and I. We took the ACT in junior high. We were going to Doogie Howser High School and go to Creighton and just be doctors and, change the world. But I was also dealing with anxiety and depression, probably stemming from my, family being morbidly obese and hoarders and, all the typical things that stress me out. And so it really took a toll, and I moved here to Colorado. Moved here, I think, in 95. Went to Columbine, didn't fit in. I felt like it was grade school. I got really bored. I dropped out. Went to an alternative school, dropped out of that. We moved again. I went to Arapahoe High School, and I liked Arapahoe, but I got kicked out. And then went to an alternative school again. And so I went from like the 3-year plan to like a 5-year plan. Actually, it was going to be a 6-year plan because I dropped out so much.
Right.
I went to California and started a death metal band. I explored. Like I said, wanderlust. I just wanted to go live life and find some outlet to create some stuff and find some happiness. So I get into a real nice alternative school called Options. The principal was a lifesaver. Wrote a curriculum that aligned with how I saw the world. Got through it. He gave me a scholarship to go to ACC. I lasted 2 weeks, and I was like, school's not for me. Went to Metro, tried it for another month, not for me. So just got jobs, worked a lot. I've had a lot of jobs. So at that time I was DJing, and obviously if you're DJing, your lifestyle's a little bit different than some other people's. You're up later. There's a lot of vices around you. You make less than desirable choices, and I was guilty of that. So I had some life lessons to learn there. So I'm around doing jobs, delivering food, DJing, everything, working 3-4 jobs at a time. And then my buddy works in the mailroom at the law firm, and he had a punk band, and we had a practice space, a DJ practice space next to his punk band space. He's like, hey, man, come work in the mailroom. I'm like, I'll never work for the man, no way. Right. And then I was like, what's the worst will happen? It's a 10 to 7 job. I can still DJ 9 to 2 a.m., and I get 8 hours of sleep. That's great. Gave it a shot. Turns out it wasn't that bad. He was a great boss, still great friends. And it gave me a space to have consistency. I didn't really have a whole lot of consistency. I was like always struggling and hustling to make a living. And so for once I had a stable paycheck. I had health insurance on 401k. I was like, all right, I can make something of myself. So I did, and I applied myself, and it kept bumping me up in different positions in the law firm. Then they want me in accounting. I'm like, I'm not an accountant. I have no degree in this. They're like, we think you're competent. You have the skill set of the people we want, but you don't have the knowledge. We can teach you. They did that for 6 years, and so here I am running the budget for like 12 law firms across America, millions of dollars a week, going line by line, paying the bills, and I found joy in it. I appreciate it. Wasn't what I wanted to do. Right. I have all the ski maps in my cubicle, and I have like pictures of snowboards, and that's what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So weekend warrior kind of stuff for several years, and then I'm a nerd. I like IT stuff, and eventually they put me in IT. And at that point, I was also training before work and after work. So I'm working, doing the 40-hour work week at the law firm, enjoying it enough. But the 4 hours a day I was doing training, I liked more. I was like, all right, if I could just find a way to make it lateral, and there's not a way to make it lateral. You don't go from making 50K to making 50K training in the first year or two even. So saved up some money to leverage the moves. My wife and I weren't too burdened with like scraping by. Although there's nothing wrong with scraping by. I appreciate scraping by. It makes you really grateful and humble. Absolutely. And I've learned to really appreciate sardines and brown rice.
There you go. Yep.
So little things in life. So I finally decided, you know what? I'm going to go to training full time. So it's been 10 years now, training full time. And I love it. That's how I transitioned. The fire was always there. At some point you realize you just got to make a move. Exactly. It's not going to be easy. Nothing easy is worth doing, so just make the move.
Cool. Very cool. And that's something, Sean, I think I'm a firm believer that every single one of us, deep within our soul, deep within our heart, there's a fire, there's a passion, there's something or some things that really just fire us up, get us excited, motivate us, and just, kind of maybe they're dreams of years past, or there's just something inside. But unfortunately, I believe a lot of people, because they get stuck the ruts of life. They get stuck in, maybe a corporate job, kind of the routines of life, and it's just the same thing over and over. And before they know it, 30 years has gone by, and they're 50 years old, and they look back and they're just like, what have I done with my life? Where am I gonna go for the next 15, 20 years? But what I'm trying to say is there's a fire that burns deep within each of us, and kind of what I'm hearing is that fire from a very young age has been burning inside of you, and it continued to burn even through all of the wanderlust and the exploring you did when you were younger, and going in maybe to the corporate setting, things like that, and you realize that, hey, you know what, there is a fire inside of me. There are things that I'm interested in, but right now I need to maybe save some money. I need to make some wise choices that maybe down the road will open up some doors for me to pursue that fire, to pursue some of those dreams, to pursue some of those passions in a greater way. So for you listeners out there that have that fire burning, and you're kind of learning maybe what you're passionate about, I just want to encourage you that, some people will tell you just to throw everything into one basket and go for it, and that may work for some people, but what I'm learning, and it sounds like that you learned in your life, Sean, is like there's a time and a place where we kind of have to maybe slow down a little bit. We have to kind of settle in. We have to kind of work maybe a job that we're not always excited about, but it's going to pay the bills. It's got some benefits, save some money. And then as we continue to prepare and continue just to pour that gasoline on that fire and on those passions, there will be doors that are going to open for us in the future as we are responsible with what we need to be responsible with today. There are going to be doors of opportunity that open in the future, and is that what you experience? I mean, because that fire was always burning from a young age. You did what you had to do for however long you had to do it, and because you saved some money and you were learning responsibility and things like that, it's opened up a huge door of opportunity now within the fitness and health world, and it's kind of just, now it sounds like you've been in this world for 10 years professionally, and it's just going to continue to expand as that fire continues to burn inside of you. So I guess what I want to say, listeners, find out what you're passionate about, like Sean has done, like I've done, and we continue to learn, and just do what you've got to do today. Be responsible with the things that you need to be responsible with today, but always be prepared when that door of opportunity opens. So, Sean, how have you found in your own personal life, in your fitness journey, how you have been responsible with things kind of, just today and just taking care of the little things, how that has opened up those doors of opportunity? Maybe it's networking with certain people or connecting with certain people. How have those doors of opportunity opened up for you as you've taken kind of care of the responsibilities in your life, kind of in the immediate?
Yeah, the opportunities are abundant. They're there. They're all around us in any kind of field. I think once your heart is in the right place and you put your gumption behind it, you will open doors, and then those doors open more doors. I get goosebumps every day thinking about my opportunities. I look through my emails of that day, I'm like, did I really just get to email Pavel and Brett Jones and Patagonia and Never Summer in the same hour? How's that even possible? Those are people who I have the books on my shelf. I have the board on my wall. Like, those are, I think you put enough positive intent into something, an intention, it'll manifest. It's a beautiful thing, and it's not like woo-woo craziness. It works. I watch it work every day. My wife and I have a vision board at the end of our bed. So every morning, the first thing I see, although it's dark, I know it's there, is the things we want to see. So like we said earlier, create the things in the world you wish to see. So our vision board is one of those ways we do that. So I'll put up some pictures of the mountains, my wife in her wedding dress, our dogs, maybe a home, companies I want to work with. Say it's Weston and Arc'teryx or North Face, and then within like a few weeks, that seems to manifest. Like in 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be at the Outdoor Retailer Show interviewing these companies, like 45 companies in 3 days. It's going to be amazing stuff. But all these things, these doors wouldn't have been there if I just stayed in the cubicle. I would just be like, oh, well, I can go to the resort and buy a lift ticket and go snowboarding. Now I get to work with companies to design a snowboard or a split board for that matter,
Right.
and I get to go take people who are the creators in this industry and work with them to create new products.
Right.
Spitballing back and forth on new fitness routines with the people who are leading the leaders in the world of fitness. I have to pinch myself every day to even understand this concept. It blows my mind, and I'm extremely grateful for it.
Cool.
So yeah, if you just take care of what you got to take care of, put some money aside, scale down, like minimalist, like I said. So professional dirtbag, I get by on a lot, or get by a lot well on little. I don't need much. Like I said, sardines, I'm content. I'm happy to wake up in a tent in the dirt in the snow right now. I don't need much. Like you said, I don't like going out. I don't like buying things. I don't like buying expensive food. I'd rather put my money into dog food and paying the bills and just put some money aside. Also, as in Gearman, I get a lot of gear, so I don't need really to buy anything. Get a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, take care of what you need to take care of for you and your family, and then keep your heart in the right place and work towards your dreams. And don't be afraid to take a chance or two. Take an evening job, weekend job, morning job, something. You'll find a way.
Do whatever it takes.
Do whatever it takes.
Do whatever it takes, and those opportunities will present themselves.
They will. And then people will notice that, and they'll appreciate that. And people will probably be talking about you that you don't know are talking about you, making moves for your benefit that you probably don't know. And when it happens, it's gonna floor you in a positive way.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
I want to ask you, Sean, what has been one of the most difficult occurrences in your life, or what has been one of the biggest obstacles that you've had to overcome in your own personal life? This can be, anywhere, anything from when you were younger, middle age, to where you're at today. It can be fitness, it can be family, wherever you want to take that question. But I just want the listener to be able to connect with you in regards to hardship and overcoming, because all of us have things that we struggle with, that we have to overcome.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't overcome, and they take us for a ride for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
But what's one or two things that you've really had to overcome, some difficult things that you've had to deal with in your own personal life?
Oh yes, I'd be happy to talk about this. I have more than one or two for sure. I'll try and keep it simple though. And I want to add to what you said. I think on social media it's easy to get a perception of a person as all unicorns and rainbows when it's really not. I mean, and I try and be really forthcoming on my social media. Like, yeah, there's some really amazing stuff, but there's also some very painful things.
Absolutely.
And I'm not there to bring people down, but I want to give context that my day is just like your day. It's full of some unique struggles and challenges. I might not know what you're going through, and you might not know what I'm going through, and I'm happy to share that with you or help you with yours. But if I only put out the darkness, then it would be a bummer. If I only put out the light, then it's just facetious and curated, and that's dishonest. So I try and put a mixture out there. But I also think with the darkness or the challenges, the more you can get through, the more light you get. So I kind of look at all these things I'm going to talk about in a moment, the darknesses or these challenges, as gifts. Gifts for me to learn something, to grow, to be more resilient, to be stronger, to not just like muscle stronger, but like stronger as a human being. So let's see. Probably the most obvious one is taking care of my family. I've had to step into a hero role since I've been 6. When my brother was diagnosed with autism and some other stuff, my parents just said, he's your responsibility. And back in Omaha, there's a place called Boys Town, and there's a statue of Father Flanagan, and this statue stood out in my head from my whole childhood. It said, he's not heavy, Father, he's my brother. So that it's basically, my brother is not a burden on me. I'm honored to take care of him. And I knew as I grew older, I would probably be single, and I would have a special needs a young adult with me to take care of. So that was like, a unique situation that for some people out there might have disabled kids or siblings, and they could probably resonate with that. It's a unique challenge. And then, so he was 21 when he died of a heart attack, and that was like a real big shock. But that was a gift, allowed me to get into fitness. So it also helped me with empathizing with people who might be in his shoes, because he started to want to get into fitness in general. So when he'd come over to spend the night, we'd go down to the gym, we'd do a little stuff, and I'd reward him with some time in the pool and some favorite movies or something. So I was trying to give them the carrot, not the stick. I'm always about the carrot. I don't use the stick when I train people. There's plenty of people who use a stick, and good for them. So my sister, before she passed, wanted to lose some weight. She had just graduated from Metro in a degree for special education to help people like my brother. So very noble of her to pursue that path. She got a position being a teacher's assistant. She was super excited. And then one day, she collapsed right in front of me. And she's 350 pounds, and I couldn't pick her up. I'm like, I don't have the physical strength to pick her up. Turns out she had cancer in her spine. It was GBM, which is actually a brain cancer. And so it paralyzed her from the waist down. And so then I fell into this hero role again. I had helped build a gym in Lakewood. I left that gym to go back to where I am currently, which is Push Gym, a fantastic studio, to be closer to her while I was her caretaker and power of attorney. Got her in hospice. And as I watched her, battle this brain cancer over the next few months, watch her go from paralysis to seizures to blindness. Every day I was just like, I'm so grateful I can walk. I'm so grateful I can see. I can hear. I can taste. I'm so grateful I can work and serve others. Like it brings you a real swift reality kick. So those were challenges taken on. And then most recently, both my parents are disabled. So I got my assisted living last year. I'm their caretaker. And then out of nowhere, about 4 or 5 months ago, my dad, similar situation. His back's in a lot of pain. He never left the hospital. He left the hospital to die in front of me in October. He had pancreatic cancer, which again is GBM is very aggressive. Pancreatic is even more aggressive, it seems like. That was diagnosis to death in like a week.
Right.
So those are some of the biggest challenges. And of course, it's not just a challenge for me. The challenge is I run 4 or 5 businesses, so I don't get to take time off for medical leave, right? So the challenge is, how do I still serve the people I care about? Then at home, I have to process the grieving process. That's a challenge to do. My wife had a big burden on her shoulders. Like, she has a husband who's going through this for the 3rd time now. So it's those are some big challenges to go through, but not so much that they stop momentum, right? They just make you appreciate what it is you're working for, and if anything, makes you want to double down. So my sister was paralyzed. I was like, what if I get paralyzed? How do I serve people? So I started creating online courses, and then I wrote a book on splitboarding. Create content that, in case I couldn't serve somebody in person, they could be helped by my services passively. So, and then when my dad was sick, I was like, I'm going to create this mountain fitness school. That way people can learn at home, and I don't have to be in front of them in case I need to spend all my time with my father. And so those were gifts in ways too. So those are some tough ones. And personally, dealing with anxiety and depression, when I moved out here, I got derailed from education, and I had this path. I was going to be, like I said, a mad scientist and go to Creighton and this and that. And then I got into a darker scene. Not the DJ scene is totally dark. You get to make music and dance and stuff, but it's easy to make bad decisions. And so, yeah, the early 20s wasn't the most productive time in my life, but without that, I wouldn't be here. So all that was necessary to be the person I am today. And ironically, tonight I'm actually having some friends over to play some records, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do it and have some chicken wings or something. It's really low key.
Yeah.
But yeah, all these things happen for a reason. Absolutely. And if you don't embrace it, it'll just sink you.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you for sharing some of those personal
no problem.
struggles, but then also learning opportunities as you look at them. How does your mindset from day to day help you in your life? Because I know mindset is very, very, very important in regards to the results that we get out of our lives and the results that we get from other people. So where does your mind hang out throughout the day, if you don't mind me
I love
asking?
that. There's some simple ones here. I assume positive intent, right? I assume trying to take things personally, which can be tough, for people like you and me. We put a lot out there, and I have a lot of failure. A lot. I have more failure than success. I just gotta not take it personally and shrug it off. Speak with a golden tongue. Always do the right thing the first time. And always be grateful. There's so much stuff to be grateful for. For a while there, when my dad was sick, I was getting kind of grumpy, almost cynical, which is weird for me. So I had to look into my. I have a gratuity journal over here actually. So every morning I spend about 5 minutes writing down some things. And at the end of the day, I go into it as well and write down some things. It's a really cool little tool. It helped me realign with what's important. So yeah, being grateful, being open, being honest, being kind, and being grateful. Just you can be outside and see the birds in the sky. And,
Awesome.
yeah, it's a good place.
Now you've mentioned writing. You just did a couple of times there. You've mentioned that you've written articles and things of that nature. I know you do reviews for different outdoor gear and things like that. You also have an ebook that you've authored. So I'm assuming because of all of that, writing has been, is, and probably will continue to be an important and big part of your life. Is that true? And,
yeah.
And if so, I find personally writing to be therapeutic.
Yes.
It's a great way for me to express my feelings and my emotions that I won't express to anything or anybody else. Have you found writing to be therapeutic, and is it in the normal day-to-day a big part of your life, Sean?
It is, and I never thought it would be. I was never good at English. I enjoy reading. I never thought about writing. I write music and play guitar and DJing, but that's a different kind of creativity. Writing words out, I really enjoy. So like my typical day is maybe half fitness and the other half is writing.
Wow.
And
okay.
so yeah, so and I found a way to write that brings other people in. So I've got other writers working with me for content, for endearment. And I think writing either in the journal, like writing some personal stuff, working through some emotions and looking back on it 2 months later and it's like, oh yeah, we did get through. Oh, I need to work on that still. But I can spit out a 1,000-word article in 2 hours and have it up published by the end of the day. And to me, that's great because I think I have something important to share with other people that might make their quality of life better, whether it's on fitness or gear or on mindset or what have you. So I love writing. So oftentimes what I'll do when I go camping, I'll bring my laptop and I'll just write because the dogs are off playing. I've already got my fitness in. I'm just chill and content. I'll type so much my battery will die. I have a backup battery for my laptop, and I'll go back at it and just till that one dies. I'm like, all right, that's a day.
Cool.
So yeah, writing is therapeutic. It's an outlet. It's creative. Creating is just so essential to me. If I'm not creating, I'm not breathing.
Right.
So you get that.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, being a husband, I know I've had quite a few of my guests are married. They have a spouse, and I try to always bring this up because, again, marriage to me is something that's very important. It's very sacred. There's a lot of different opinions about marriage nowadays in our culture. But what I want to ask you, Sean, is how has marriage changed you as a man, and what is marriage and just your relationship with your wife, what does that mean to you, and what type of joy and light does that bring into your life?
That's great. Marriage is great, and marriage is what you make it too. I know some people are married and they complain a lot, and I'm sure we all complain about stuff, but basically I think most of it can be solved with meeting or not setting such high expectations and meeting them. I think we have fantasies in our head sometimes about what we expect from other people, and that's when we get let down and resentments happen. But that's like armchair psychology. Marriage, I love marriage. I love having my wife in my life. She is my partner. I'm a very open-minded, free spirit, dirtbag, crazy person, right? And she's very, very organized and very grounded. I'll have what I think is a genius idea. Oh my God, no, I'm going to do this and create this. And she's like, really? But with the laundry? I'm like, oh, okay. I'll do the laundry first.
Back to reality.
Yeah. It's a yin and yang. If it was two yins or two yangs, it probably wouldn't be as productive. So I didn't know I needed that in my life, but apparently I did because I'm a better person with her in my life. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate her family. It sounds weird, but like I love my in-laws. Her mother and stepfather, see them very often. I'll come up to have coffee very often. My father-in-law and stepmother-in-law, call him up, have some beers. He's out back in Ohio. They're good people. And she's a sister. We have 3 nieces. So seeing this structured family time has really, really been helpful to me because my family is different than a lot of families. So I appreciate that. And we have dogs now. I never had dogs. Chloe's ground up a little storm over there. I've always had weird animals. Never had dogs. So these are my first 2 dogs, and our little 4-pack is awesome. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I recommend marriage for all the benefits and all the challenges, it's worth it.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, I don't know because I'm not married, but from what I hear, there's so much growth in marriage.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, if I were just to go all in on all the stuff I'm doing without my wife, I don't know where I would be here. I would probably not be at the spot. She's allowed me to flourish in my ways, and hopefully I've allowed her to flourish too. She worked in retail for the longest time. I got her into the law firm I worked at, and now she's in HR, working her way up, just kicking butt. She's awesome.
Awesome, sweet. Now I want to. We're getting close to an hour here. I want to talk about your businesses because entrepreneurship is a whole nother monster. If you want to use that terminology, it's a whole nother ball game. So I want to just give you some time, Sean, just to talk about Colorado Personal Fitness, Mountain Fitness School, Engearment, and just kind of what entrepreneurship means to you and kind of the day-to-day of you being a business owner of three businesses, also, having your own book and having your own clients and training them. So why don't you just discuss a little bit and share with the listeners in regards to entrepreneurship, and then if you want, please do so, discuss a little bit more in detail the three businesses that you are in charge of and you've created. Yeah,
I'd be happy to. So entrepreneurship is, it can be a monster, but you can tame that monster.
Right.
Yeah. Just get structure
right,
and, just do it and learn about failure because it's going to happen. You don't walk out the door and just hit a grand slam. Just get used to that. It's rewarding because you get to do what you want to do. You work for you. If work doesn't go well, you don't get to complain to the boss because you're the boss. So just do the job right. And treat your customers. They're not customers. To me, they're friends, students, however you want to word it. Give them more than they're asking for. You'll get more in return too. Just over-deliver. And I have notes for every client or student that are so detailed. I have their plans made out for weeks in advance. And then, plans change depending on injuries or equipment or locations and times. So as Colorado Personal Fitness, I have a gym inside Brownstein Hyatt Farber Streck. It's a fantastic studio. They gave me about $250,000 to build a private gym just for the staff. And so, it's really nice. I put in the sound and the Wi-Fi. It's got yoga studio in there, high-def TVs and Peloton bikes, and it's pretty swanky. It's a good recruiting tool for the law firm too, but I'm in there every morning training classes and one-on-ones, and then I find that I'm very productive. I'm very good at working for 4 hours at a time. So at the 4-hour mark, I leave there, and then I go right for Engearment. So for Engearment, Engearment.com is a website I've been co-founded 5 years ago, and now I own it. We have several riders, men, women, older, younger. It is a gear review and gear review website and a place for people to write and showcase their work. So I cover the split boarding, camping, fitness stuff. Aaron covers being a father. He's also deaf, so we have that angle too. Kate, she's our biker. She's female. She's a hiker, backcountry skier. Mike Sanchez. We have a stacked crew. It's getting better every day. So with Engearment, we write about gear. We get the test gear before it comes out. Like half of the gear in this room isn't really out yet. It will be, but we get to work with Patagonia directly, work with Never Summer, G3, all these companies. It is so cool. If you like gear, it is like gear gluttony. We just worked with Hilleberg, Nemo, MSR. It's really cool. So we go into the mountains and write, and then I come back and do more training at Push Gym under the Colorado Personal Fitness. The Engearment's a great outlet. It gets me in touch with, I get to interview Jimmy Chin next month, really cool stuff. And it's exposure internationally too. We have readers, a lot of readers in Europe actually, which is cool. Those are people I don't get to see directly. So I get to help somebody I'm not seeing directly. And we have a YouTube channel, 1 million people come through there. So we have a lot of people coming through, watching the videos. And we're not the best at it, but I enjoy it. Whereas other publications have more numbers and traffic, we have more, I think, authenticity. Because we're in the mountains using, a camera to film a review in a blizzard. Audio is not the best, right, but it's legit because we're in a blizzard and we're really using the gear. So real reviews from real people doing the real deal. And finally, Mountain Fitness School was a dream of mine. I was like, how can I teach people what I do in Colorado personal fitness that aren't in front of me? Because I get a lot of people who are like, what's this program all about? How do I do it? What equipment? And I'll say, here's how you use a T-Rex. Here's how you use a kettlebell. Here's where you buy one. You can make a home gym. I was like, why don't I just make a whole school, like a course on how to do this, and then have different courses in that school. So the Mountain Fitness School is, I shot it all in 4K. I learned how to use the camera the right way, got real microphones, shot it in the mountains, around 11,000 feet on average. Dogs are in the background. So it shows me doing it anywhere, right? So you can do it in your backyard, basement, the gym. Leave it, Chloe. Using T-Rex kettlebells, your body weight, on the mountain, in your gym, the backyard, wherever. And this is the best, most current science I could find. I applied it to this program. I have people using it for Denali, person using it for Everest. These are mountains I haven't climbed. I'm not claiming I ever will. Right. But for mountain fitness, it works really well. Side effects are they feel great. A lot of them have lost weight. Mechanics are good. Minimal equipment. We're talking the stuff you can put into the back of your truck. So you can do it anywhere. And so the Mountain Fitness School, there's 4 courses. There's a full course. There's a course with just the kettlebell. Then there's a course if you know how to use the kettlebell and T-Rex, then there's just the workouts. So the big course is like how to do a kettlebell swing, how to do overhead press, how to do a TRX row, stuff like that. Detailed instructions how to do it, and that's like the full course. The other courses are the workouts. If you know how to use equipment, this is the structure to provide the most amount of benefit for the people we use it on, myself included, and it's cheaper too.
Sweet. Now the Mountain Fitness School, is that all online?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can download every video, which is a unique business strategy. People are like, why would you let people download it? They can share it with their friends. Good. Share with your friends.
Exactly.
I'm not out here this is not my moneymaker. This is me helping people.
Right.
So it's completely downloadable. I compress the videos from 4K videos are huge. I compress them down so you can put them on your iPhone or iPad.
Okay.
So yeah, and for your listeners out there, I've made a special code. Let's see, 40% off all the courses. Podcast 40. So
Podcast 40, sweet.
Yeah.
So if somebody is out there interested in the Mountain Fitness School, Sean, why don't you give that discount code one more time, please?
Yeah, it's Podcast 40, all one word.
Now, if somebody's interested in the Mountain Fitness School, what is the actual website that they need to go to enroll and all of that?
MountainFitnessSchool.com.
MountainFitnessSchool.com. All right, listeners, so you've got a discount code. If this is something that would interest you, go to MountainFitnessSchool.com, enter that code. You'll get 40% off, and you are definitely on your way. Now, one other thing here, Sean, that I want to kind of touch on, because in your description, we talked about TRX and kettlebell trainer. Are those the two tools that you predominantly use in your mountain fitness training, and then also your personal training?
Yes, very much so. Yeah. So the TRX, I can train anybody on. Kettlebell, anybody. Octogenarian, to a kid, whatever. Those are my tools I use in my business day to day. So that's why I put them into Mountain Fitness School. So they work. They work very, very well. Very safe. So yeah, those are my tools.
Sweet. Now, with the TRX and the kettlebell, those are items that, again, like you talked about earlier, you can throw in the back of your pickup truck, and you can take anywhere. I mean, I've heard of different people taking their TRX, throwing them on their luggage on the airplane, and they can use it in the motel. So that's something with like the TRX. It's very versatile. Is
I
that
totally
correct?
agree. Yeah, every person I train owns a TRX now. They've seen the benefit in the gym. They use it at home. When you're traveling, you can put it behind a door on a hotel room. You can attach it to a tree. I keep 2 in my truck at all times, 1 in my backpack. I keep kettlebells in my truck at all times. Helps weigh the back of the truck down too in the snow.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, very versatile stuff.
Cool. So let's kind of, we're gonna start wrapping things up here, Sean. And one thing that I do want to touch on here before we finish is there one lesson that you have learned as an entrepreneur and an owner of 3 businesses, being an author and just having the network that you have? Is there one lesson that you can share with the listeners that you've kind of taken away from all of these entrepreneurship experiences?
Yes. One lesson: work hard.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
work hard.
Work hard. Yep. And I think that kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier in regards to those doors of opportunity opening up. I mean, if you're putting in the work, if you know what you're passionate about, if you're going after those goals, even if you're not exactly where you want to be today, those doors of opportunity through hard work are going to present themselves.
Yeah, there's no easy way about it. It'll be hard.
Exactly. Awesome. Very good. So, Sean, let's just close with this. I just want you to share what's one or two things that excite you. What is the thing that burns inside of you that is your passion, your fire, that you wake up every morning, you're like, you know what, this is what keeps me going. This is what keeps Sean going. This is what I want to share with the world and spread around the world. What is that thing, or what are those things, if you don't mind sharing that?
Yeah, I have a few, I think. When I see somebody have an epiphany, or they achieve their goal, and I see this so often and I never get sick of it. When I'm talking to somebody and they say, "Oh my gosh, Sean, I was able to do this thing with my husband now," or I trained some bow hunters. He filled his tag, which is very hard to do. It's 8% success rate, and so he's like, he was very excited. His wife was excited. He brought me some meat. That was great. I had a person win the Federal Cup, which is a speed walking event, and that was her life mission. Besides, raising a kid, was to win this Federal Cup, and she did. And then her husband lost 100 and some pounds, and then now him and I get to go for a hike. Seeing those quality of life changes is what motivates me. When I see people's eyes dilate and their skin get goosebumps when we're talking about stuff, that's what excites me. It's a reciprocation of goodness.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to share that I haven't asked you, or anything that's just kind of maybe something you've been learning lately that you just kind of want to get out there to the listeners?
I think you've done a fantastic job of asking great questions. Hopefully the answers I've given have been helpful for the listeners. Basically, be open and be kind.
Be open and be kind. Cool. Great words of encouragement and great words to leave with our listeners, Sean. So we're gonna finish things up here. I just really want to thank you, Sean, for your openness, your willingness to have me here in Denver in your apartment. I know, like we've talked about at the beginning of the podcast, it's been, 8-9 weeks kind of interacting, and then we had the winter Christmas season break there, and we said we'd try to connect here in January. So I just want to thank you for being open, for being real with me, and getting back to my DMs and the emails and all that. So thank you very much. Thank you for having me in your home and just really opening up and sharing with the listeners today. It's greatly appreciated. So
well, thank you. I appreciate you doing this service for the listeners. I appreciate you inviting me onto the show. It meant a lot to me. I got your email. I was like, this is going to be great. I looked into you. I'm like, this guy's got a good heart. I want to align with this person. Thank you. I really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to future podcasts with other great people on it. And thank you for the listeners out there. Hopefully there's one or two things that take away that help your life, and if they do, awesome.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you so much, Sean. Now, I just want to give you the opportunity, Sean, to talk about, maybe mention again, your websites, your businesses, your social media outlets, all of that type of stuff. If you want to give the discount code one more time,
yes,
this is your time to kind of just share some of the stuff that you have in your life and ways that people can get a hold of you if they would want to.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. I'm very transparent and open, as you can tell. So I'm out there on all the fields. LinkedIn, Sean Sewell. Facebook, Sean Sewell. Instagram, Engearment, and Colorado Personal Fitness. Training business, coloradopersonalfitness.com. The gear review business, engearment.com. That's a made-up word, E-N-G, Gearment. And then the one that probably benefit most people is the Mountain Fitness School. That's mountainfitnessschool.com. And that is how to use TRX kettlebells in your body weight to get in shape for mountain adventures. And there is a 40% discount code, podcast40. It's all one word. That gets you 40% off any of the courses. You can get the big full course or even just a basic workout course. The code podcast40 works for all four.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Sean. Listeners, I just want to again thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy lives to tune into the 127 Fit podcast. This little passion project is something that I'm super excited about, and for every listener out there that tunes in and takes again time out of your busy days, your busy schedule to hang out with myself and my guests, I just want to thank you for your time and for just continuing to come back and tune in. If you guys could do me a huge favor, I would really appreciate if you guys could subscribe to the podcast on whatever outlet you are listening to it on a regular basis. So subscribe, please like, comment, and really the big thing, especially like on iTunes, is please leave a review. Positive, negative, indifferent. Just leave a review. Please give feedback. If you want to reach out to me personally, my Instagram handle is @127fitness. So you can just DM me on Instagram. You can reach out to me on Facebook. It's @QuentinVars. And then my blog site, aka website, is @127fitness.com. So that's just kind of where I share some thoughts through writing. But again, please reach out to me if there's maybe some questions that I could ask future guests that you would like to have me ask, or some topics you would like me to touch on with some of the fitness guests that I have. Just feedback, maybe something that I could do better. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to make this 127 Fit podcast the best possible podcast that I can make it. And I want feedback. I need feedback. So please give some feedback. And the podcast is currently available on iTunes, Stitcher, Castbox, and Podbean. So again, thank you so much for your time. And I will leave you today with Proverbs 24:10. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Till next time, I will catch you guys later.